Prince George turned 13 years old. Can you believe it? He's growing up so fast. Happy belated to Prince George. It was actually Wednesday that he turned 13 years old. And the family marked it by sharing new photos. I want to look at that. I want to talk about the Wales family. And then I want to get into something that's really picking up steam and swirling around and people are talking about. And it's not something I typically talk about. And that is what's up with the surrogate rumors. We got some stuff to get into. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Jen. Make sure you're subscribed, hit the thumbs up, and leave me comments, as all of those helps YouTube to recommend my videos. I sincerely appreciate that, and I appreciate all of you. Yeah, I don't normally go into this. So I'm going to put a big fat disclaimer on this because this is the one that they come after people for. Everything I'm about to tell you is, in terms of that stuff, are my opinions. I'm going to share with you my opinions. I'm going to ask you for yours. And I'm going to share with you the rumors that are going around with the understanding that they are just that. They are rumors. But I want to talk about them because I think there's some interesting points. And I actually have a little bit of information on this stuff that I want to talk about as well. Anyway, all right, let's dive in, shall we? Can we start with our Prince George, though? Oh, my goodness. Have you seen him? He's so handsome. 13 years old. Look at him. Oh, teenager. My goodness. My Gosling's birthday. I don't say specifics, but it's not too far out. So she's closer to Princess Charlotte's age, but still, who knows? Maybe those two will end up together. And then I could be in-laws with Catherine. Not weird at all. Anyway, so cute, so handsome. I love it. We also got this right here. Smiling, happy birthday, boy. So sweet. I love it. Oh my goodness gracious. He looks like his dad, I think there. Oh, so cute. All right. I know I don't want to get off the ray of sunshine either, but we have to. Let's talk what's up with Meghan. Okay. So these rumors are swirling. And as I've said, and as you're aware, they are rumors, but I want to talk about them because I think there's something there. All right. I'm going to give you an example of the rumor, but know that it's everywhere. People are talking about it. Here we go. Not that. Okay. Crazy Days and Nights. If you don't know what that is one of those blind item sites where they'll post things like this celeb was seen with this celeb, and you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt, but usually there's a little bit of something behind it. Like maybe they were seen together. It doesn't mean anything, but it's interesting. And it's not usually just pulled out of thin air. There's usually something behind it. So I just thought this one was worth a look at. Let's see, shall we? So the blind item here says, not to get into the controversy about California versus Colorado thing. Now, they're talking about, there's now speculation that Colorado may have been, again, a big fat allegedly, right? Because they're all about coming after people talking about this. So I'm just going to say allegedly, if surrogacy happened, people are speculating, hey, I wonder if maybe one of the surrogates came out of Colorado. So that's why you're hearing Colorado. People have gone into birth certificates and looking at numbers and stuff. That's why they're speculating Colorado. But okay, let's continue on with this and then we'll talk about it more. The controversy about California versus Colorado thing when it comes to the illiterate one. And again, if you're new here and you're not familiar with the blind items, they typically won't say a celeb's name, but they come up with nicknames. So if you were a betting person, you could probably figure out, or a person with some sense, more sense than Harry, you could figure out that illiterate one might mean Meghan Markle and an offspring, but there's a pre-birth order filled out in California and sent to the county registrar hospital in California. Okay, so again, people have gone on this deep dive about Colorado and did one come from Colorado and all that. This person's, again, this is my opinion. This person is saying you're looking in the wrong place. It's California. Okay. Let me tell you my theory on this. And again, it's just my opinion, my theory. We all are entitled to our opinions. You can tell me yours. I'd love to hear it. My theory is this. I remember, go with me real quick on this side quest because it leads to this. I remember years ago really loving, and actually just came back and I love that too, Ladies of London. I loved it. It was a great show. The original version came out, I don't know, like 2014. And one of the main people on there, Caprice, talked openly. She was a lady from California, but she lived in London. She's full-time in London. And it's a whole thing where she was having trouble. So she and her partner looked into surrogacy. And she explained that in the UK, I'm just paraphrasing, hopefully I get this right. As I understand it, in the UK, and again, this was years ago, so things may have changed, but at the time, the laws favor whoever was physically carrying the child. So that person, the woman physically carrying the child, could say, I'm keeping it, something like that. And Caprice, as I would think anybody would, was like, I can't take that risk. Okay. So instead, they came to California because the rules there favor the genetics or whoever set up the surrogacy. So in this case, it would have been, I can't remember who used what, but in Caprice, she was a model. This model's experience, she went to California because she knew that I think even if she got an egg from somewhere else and sperm from wherever, that does not belong to the woman carrying the baby. That belongs to Caprice because she arranged it or whatever, however you say that. Okay. And so I just remember this has stuck with me as people talking about in the UK, it's very different. In a lot of places, it's very different. In the US, it's very much pro whoever genetically or who, as far as arranged it, not carried, but arranged the birth. That's whose baby it is. So that's what you want if you're worried about, the mother that carries it trying to keep the child. Okay. So the reason this sticks with me is because when I started hearing the rumors of surrogacy, I thought, I wonder, hypothetically, if Meghan's gone to California around the time. And sure enough, I remember reading allegedly that was a thing. I believe, I'm trying to remember, I read so many books, they're kind of blurring together. I believe it was actually in Tom Bower's Revenge, but it may have been in Valentine Lowe's book. I don't know. It may have been both. They talk about that during the time that would have made sense, Meghan was secretly flying to California. In fact, one of those, and it may have actually even been in the Tom Bower Beckham's book, because at least one of the times I believe it's alleged that she stayed at the Beckham's house. So my brain was going off thinking, that's interesting. Sure, she could have been just visiting California, but if it was a surrogacy thing and she needed to be there for certain events or meetings or whatever it was, legal filings, that would make sense. So things like that, dates and stuff, started to make a little bit more sense to me. What's crazy is that I'm not into, I've always been clear, and I'm still not. I'm not going to speculate about anybody's medical anything. People talk about hysterectomies and all that. I've heard the rumors. Not my place to talk about people's medical stuff. I've had it done to me. I'm not into it. I won't do it to anybody else. I hated what they did to Catherine. I'll never do that. So, you can leave me your comments about that, but I'm aware of the rumblings, but I refuse to talk about people's medical stuff. But I will say this is interesting. And what's funny, I don't know if funny is the right word, but fine, it's funny. What's funny to me is a couple of things. One, surrogates, so what? Some people use them and it still makes a family. How you get your family is how you get your family. Nobody cares except for line of succession and pushing for titles. That's why it matters. So had they not been pushing for titles and claiming the ist words on Oprah and things like that, I don't think anybody would care, because kids are kids are kids, right? I mean, adopted, surrogate, however you get your kids, you get your kids. And the other thing that strikes me is that nobody would be paying attention to this either had it not been for the line of succession of it all, or the over-the-top performance, shall we say, of the moon bump stuff. If you believe that that's what's happening, that's the camp I fall into. Because of physics and the way things are moving, it just defies any logic. I don't understand it. And then I would say double down, but quadruple down by putting the twerking hospital video. And it's just like anybody who's given birth or been around somebody who's given birth or anything knows that most people cannot do things like that. They can't. And then I remember hearing, oh, it's because she did yoga. Okay. I have friends who are running, not all the way up until the end, but pretty far into it and very athletic. And I'm sorry, that just, there comes a point where it's like, oh my God. And to, again, what number am I at? Triple down. She talked about then going back and adding in something about preeclampsia. And it's like, this makes no sense. No sense at all. So what it appears, in my opinion, to be is that she is doing that thing where she just says things for attention. She just does things for attention, like twerking, like, oh yeah, I had that too. Oh yeah, I had a complicated this or that. Oh yeah, I had this. So then when you look at each of these pieces, none of it makes any sense. So I think that's where we're at. Okay. So this surrogate thing keeps coming up. And again, the reason I'm extra, sorry, my alert is going off. Okay. The reason that this is coming up is because, well, everybody's talking about it. I think it's because Meghan and Harry themselves can't stop pushing this stuff in everybody's face. So everybody's like, okay, fine, we'll talk about it. And this is where we're at. Now, this is not a dig at any other YouTuber. It's really not, because I don't really watch the other YouTubers because I don't want to step on anybody's toes and say something somebody's already said. So this is just my opinion. But I'm getting whiffs, rumblings, whatever it is. Other YouTubers are deep diving into birth certificates and numbers and all this. I think that's a red herring. Just my opinion. I might be wrong. I think that's a red herring. I think Meghan wants people to do that so she can be like, it's an invasion of privacy. You know, they're trying to come for my kids. We need security. I don't believe any of that. And honestly, like, sure, I hope the truth is revealed, whatever it is. But I don't know if we need specifics. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I'm trying to be vague about it because, again, I'm never coming after the kids. So I'm going to leave that there. But I think the whole thing's weird. Nothing shocks me with those two. I think they lie about everything. And again, it's not even that people care or would demand to know, except for it's a hell of their own making once again, because they push for titles. They call the family the Eastwards on Oprah saying, my child won't have a title because the color of his skin. No, that's not how that works. And you knew it. You were banking on everybody else not knowing. It had to be that Her Majesty the late Queen passed, King Charles became king, then they get their titles. They knew that's how that worked. They knew it. They were banking on everybody else not knowing it, and just the only ones that fell for it are the Sugars, hook, line, and sinker. Oh yeah, they're the Eastwards. No, that's just how it works. Anyway, so that's my thoughts. It actually feels good to put this out here. I just don't love talking about it. I don't like to wade into the kids stuff. I never talk about anybody's medical anything, and I'm still not. I just think this is interesting, and I wanted to address it since it is so big and going around. And I want to get your take on it. I want you to leave me your comments on this. I want to read some comments on it, and then I want to get into what's the goose up. All right. Is that like a fast food order? I'll take an Invictus and small fries. So what they're talking about there is what's the word? It's let's see, offspring, California, Colorado. An offspring, there is a pre-birth order. That's what it is. I believe, if I understand it correctly. In fact, let me just go into my Google machine and see. I just don't want to tell you the wrong thing. Okay, so according to Google, yeah, it's a legal document issued by a state court during pregnancy that establishes intended parents as the legal guardians of a child before they are born. It's primarily used in gestational surrogacy arrangements to ensure the intended parents' names go directly on the birth certificate and grant them immediate hospital and medical decision-making rights. Okay, great. There you go. That makes sense to me. All right. So that's what they're speculating on, like, oh, an order. So that is funny because people talk about, well, she tried to order up red hair and blue eyes. Remember, because she talked about that a lot. Even the descriptions of the kids have changed, and I get it. Kids' looks change, kids change, but there's something up. All right, I wasn't gonna go here, but I'm gonna go here. I get the weirdest comments about, "I can't believe you believe the kids exist." I've said before, I think this is gonna be the last time I say it. I say that, I'll say it again. We're allowed to believe our own opinions, okay? We're allowed to our own opinions. We can believe what we wanna believe, and it's okay. I've had people say, "I'm unsubscribing because you believe there are kids." Fine, it's gonna be okay. I do believe there are kids. This is my opinion. I do. I do not believe they're Meghan's kids. I do not. I believe that they were carried by a surrogate, just based on the weird physics going on, the over-the-top show, the adding in medical details, the description in Spare that makes no sense about allegedly giving birth. That is my opinion. My opinion is she didn't carry them. She did this, and there you go. But I do believe that there are kids. I do. I believe that there are 2 kids. And the reason I believe that is because I just think it doesn't make sense that there's no such thing as rental kids. I hear that all the time. I think it started as a joke. Stassi Schroeder did not help that. If you don't know, I used to cover reality shows. She's a reality star, and she has a really crazy sense of humor. So when people started saying her daughter looked like Lily, she started making jokes like, "Oh, it's my turn to rent my kid." It was as I understand, it was a joke. People ran with that, and that's where the rental kids thing came from. And I'm like, "No, no, no, we gotta slow this train down. We're on the wrong." That's what Meghan wants, is people to say crazy things, so that way it makes the Megxiters look crazy. Okay. I'm not that. I don't believe that. I believe there are 2 children. In fact, in Lady C's book, she specifically said there are 2 children. They question whether or not they are Meghan's, like physically she delivered those children, but there are 2 children. I believe that. I believe it. So that's my stance. You're allowed to not believe it. I don't think that they would I think they make up everything. I don't think they'd make up the existence of 2 children. I think it's weird as hell that we never see them. Candidly, I think it's weird as hell the way they use them. I think a lot of things are weird, but I do believe there are 2 kids. I personally do not believe she carried them. That's where I stand on this. You can definitely let me know your opinion. But let's remain respectful on the opinions, because I think it's weird when people feel so sure that they're right, they get angry. Okay. I mean, can't we all just agree that something's weird there, whatever it is? Anyway, so there's that. And then this person says, "And what about the postpartum preeclampsia?" Thank you. Yes. Or was that with Archie? LOL. Who can keep it straight? That it didn't even get talked about until I believe, a guest on her podcast talked about having that, and it was really serious. And all of a sudden she had it. And I thought, okay. All right, sure. Interesting that you've forgotten until somebody remind you. So this was interesting, and we'll say allegedly on this because something I didn't know about, but I was curious if you knew. Archie's nanny, a NICU nurse at the Portland hospital, knew she would be hired by the couple while she was watching their wedding, and she knew it would be a boy. Make of that what you will. And then this person says, "What? I haven't heard this. Elaborate, please." She was interviewed by Center for Innovation and Technology. The clip is still available. She manifested being their nanny, and dreams do come true. Okay, so that's weird too, right? Do you know what else I found weird that I want to point out here is Harry was trying to make a dig on the Wales family. I forget the exact wording, but it was something along the lines of, he said, they asked about how many kids, and Harry said, "We will not be having more than 2." Something like that. Hold on. Let me get the exact quote. Let's see. Prince Harry, 2 kids quote. Okay, here you go. In 2019, he famously said it's a 2 maximum. And he was very specific on that. That would have been what, before That would have been before Archie would have been a baby, and it would have been before Lily. So the thing I said about that was, even that's a weird thing to say, because sure, you can say all day long, "I'd like 2 kids." We're hoping for 2 kids, but if you just had 1, you don't know what the future holds unless you're using a surrogate. That's different. But if things are happening the old-fashioned way, you don't know. You don't know if you're gonna have another one. You don't know if you're gonna have twins, triplets. You don't know. It's not something you can guarantee. A lot of people struggle with secondary infertility, and that's where you have the first, everything's fine, and then second go around, it just doesn't happen. And so for Harry to say that, I found very odd. Now, some could argue he's just an idiot. Sure, that always stands. That's always the case. But I found that odd to be that firm that, oh no, we're having 2 maximum. Okay. You don't know that unless it's pre-planned by surrogate and it's all set up. I wonder. I wonder. I wonder if it's something like that. Okay. Continuing on. The Colorado info is a red herring. That's what I think too. And it makes us look silly. That is something that they do. They put out, either they or their followers put out little, I don't know, bits of information, breadcrumbs, whatever you want to call it, to try to get people talking about the wrong thing. That is my opinion on this. I think it's to make people look silly or like their tinfoil hat or whatever it is. I'm not into that. I'm never tinfoil hat. I try not to be. If it's something I feel like it's just a straight up rumor, I try to be upfront and say, hey, I think this is a straight up rumor. So that's I think this false. That's just my opinion. I know some people are really into that. Believe it if you want. I just don't know. I handled adoptions in WA for 25 years. Pre-birth orders would be required in surrogacy situation and really any adoption scenario, but for sure surrogacy. Thanks. Was about to ask for clarification. Yes, because even if it's your, I don't know, sister who's carrying the baby, your sister's your surrogate, you would still want an order like this in place, because there could be things like otherwise you're not allowed in the birthing suite, or God forbid something's going on with a baby right off the bat and you have to make medical decisions. You need that to be able to do that. Otherwise, the sister's in charge until, it's sorted out later. So you want things like that in place. So that would make sense in that kind of situation. I already looked into this about a year ago. The California is a surrogate friendly state. Yes, that's the part that rang a bell in my head as well. I only know that from that show I watched. California is very pro surrogate, and that they will side with they'll follow the rules in terms of the parents to be get the decision making. Again, you have to have the legal stuff in place, but it's versus in other places, it's whoever is physically carrying that baby gets to make the decisions. So that's why one might want to go to California. So just a food for thought. I just wanted to address this since so many people were talking about it. But I want to know your thoughts on it. Please do leave me comments below. Don't get pissy with me because I believe that there are 2 kids. I don't know that they're hers. Maybe they are. Maybe they used her eggs. I've heard about the egg retrieval. Again, I don't want to go into medical. I don't know how that happened. I don't care. What I do care about is if the surrogates were used, I think it should be found out, because that would mess with the line of succession. If it was anybody else, I would not care. But I do, because of the line of succession and because of the allegations that those 2 levied at the royal family. It would really show their true colors there. I mean, we already know their true colors, but to people who haven't been following so closely, that would show that they had a huge ulterior motive there. So I do hope it comes to light for that reason. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on this. I would like to do What's the Goosip and show you some of what you guys are talking about. Thank you so much to everybody who leaves comments under what is just here in the comment section. If you leave comments, you could be featured in What's the Goosip. Thank you to everybody so much for your lovely, wonderful comments. Let's take a look. Okay. So this was such an interesting comment. Shout out to Julia Ulia. I love that. Julia says, Oh my gosh, being Diana again. Look, I got cheated on like your mommy. I thought that was such a funny point. What we're talking about there, I just realized I haven't worn this. I might need to wear my gold crown. Okay. What we're talking about there is Meghan does everything to be like Diana. So I wonder if she's spreading around this rumor, because there is a rumor going around that Harry's got another girlfriend. I didn't even think about, for no other reason. I mean, that's one of the million reasons why, is so she could play the Diana card and be like, look, it's like Diana all over again. I was like, oh my God, this is brilliant. So thank you, Julia, for that. That's so smart. Shout out to Kim Neji 11 that says the name is Goose, Jen Goose. I love it. So I was saying, leave me your suggestions for names, like especially James Bond style names. I love those things like that. I think that's fantastic. Thank you for that. Or Alice in Wonderland or anything you got. Thank you. All right. Jen, the first half of 2026 Netflix viewing. Hi, Stephen. Records are now out. I thought Royal News Network quoted around 4,000. Whoa, that is so low if that is the case. I will dive into that in a separate video and look. Thank you so much, Stephen. Stephen is a wonderful addition to the channel. He has helped so much with behind the scenes research. He keeps up with this kind of stuff and he's awesome. Thank you so much, Stephen. I appreciate that. I'll look into it. That is painfully low. That goes along with what I was saying in my previous video about, I think it was like 1,900 searches on flower sprinkles. Do you know how low that is? That's so low for somebody with any kind of public profile. It's not going well for her. Oh, and then Jane says it needs to be called As Never. I think that's fantastic. Yes, As Never, because nobody's ever going back to that website. Apparently, it has tanked. I forget the number exactly. It's like 64% in 2026, the number of searches, and it was already so low. Oh my gosh, I love this comment. This one is courtesy of Jimbo6059. Hello, Jimbo. It's got more sugar than a field of sugar cane in one bottle. That made me laugh so hard. This was in regard to her last ad she put out with a glop of spread on the plate. I love that. It's got more sugar than a field of sugar cane in one bottle. I think that is true, and that's why they can't call it jam. I want to give a shout out to you, Adri. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Thank you so much. You're always so kind. You've been with me a long time, and you're so lovely. And can we all please cheer on Adri? I'm so proud of her. So I always go into something that's so important to me. I gotta take this off while I get serious. Something so important to me is transformations and transforming myself. It's something I believe in. I believe in habits. I believe in, ways to, I don't want to ever just settle. I'm always working on myself, whether it's the weight loss stuff, now I'm training for fitness contests and, just things like that, ways to improve myself inside and out. So Adri left me the most wonderful message, and so many of you have left me wonderful messages like this. Adri was taking care of her mom for 20 years and lost sight of herself, and I can relate to that so hard. Whether you're raising kids, taking care of a loved one, whatever it is, there's so many reasons to put yourself last, and you lose yourself. And she's talking about reframing it and thinking differently, because I used to do the same thing, be like, ugh, I still have to work out. And instead, just mental tricks of saying, okay, now I get to go work out. I'm so excited. It's just kind of like a reward system. And I know that sounds weird, but it is. And it's helped me so much. And Adri saying likewise, she said she used to call it punishing herself with the wrong one. With a long run, but that it's now getting out all the day's crap on a bad one, and on a good day, it's a good run. So that's great. That's such a lovely way of saying that and reframing it. And I'm so proud of you. And please do sincerely keep me posted on your journey, because I'm so proud of you. I mean that with all my goosey feathers and my heart, because that means the world to me. I love hearing stories like this, and I am truly proud of you. And I'm so happy that you're a member of this flock. I really am. You're amazing. And you're a wonderful person to put other people ahead of yourself and take care of them. And then to come back and realize, you know what? I need some care too. Good for you. That takes a really strong person. And this is the kind of stuff I want to write about. And can I tell you, I started writing last night. I wrote an introduction to what could be my book. I actually wrote an introduction and a chapter outline, and it kind of just flowed out of me. And I'm really happy. And so I don't want to say too much yet. I'm still brainstorming, I'm still working on it, but I want to make it easily accessible for you all that are interested. And I'm kind of leaning toward like a workbook where I tell you my tips and tricks, and there's things, the prompts for you guys, and something we can do together. So I'm working on it and I'm excited. Okay, that's going to do it for me. I have to run out the door. Sorry, I have to do this. It's a crazy week for me. I have to run out the door, so I'm going to leave this here. But thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you all. What do you think of the peacock blue? I thought it was so fun. I love this color. Fun for summer. It's great. Let me know your thoughts. And thank you to all the wonderful wishes on yesterday's video. You left me the most incredible messages about the white shirt and the look and the glow. And it's all coming together. Thank you. It's because, I'm telling you, it's because of these habits and because of the transformation and because of wonderful comments like the ones you guys are leaving me. You don't know how much you make my day and every day brighter. Thank you for that. I'm going to leave this here. I got to run. Have the best day. Let me know your thoughts on all this. Take care of yourself. Stay healthy. Bye-bye. Okay, normally I filmed this part, but again, I gotta run. I did this on the last video too. I'm so sorry. Gotta run. Have the best day. Thank you for being here. Let me know anything. Let me know your thoughts on the kids. Let me know your thoughts on the if you're going through a transformation, if there's a topic you would like to see covered in a potential book or a workbook or whatever this becomes, this project I'm working on, let me know. I am listening. Thank you for everything. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye. Man, I'm a happy goose. And it's because of each one of you. If you're watching right now, I'm talking to you. It's because of you that I'm a happy, happy goose. Thank you for everything. You're wonderful. You make every day brighter. Honk, honk.